Week 10 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few prospects I would watch and stash this week. The first prospect, Christian Scott of the New York Mets. So Christian Scott, we've seen him in the major league so far this season, and then the Mets sent him down last week where they want to limit his innings a little bit, even though this Met team possibly could go to a six-man rotation sooner than later. And they had a lot of off days, so they sent him down, and now he got some rest over the last week and a half, and he might be back after this London series versus the Philadelphia Phillies. So on the season, Christian Scott, he was pretty decent, and he was a pitcher that wasn't scared to attack the strike zone this year. So Scott right now, the number 55 prospect in all Major League Baseball. He's available in 82% of fantasy leagues, and on the season, 27 and 2/3, 0-2 record, 25 Ks, 3.90 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, and 3 quality starts. So Christian Scott, like I said, he went out there and he was a pitcher that would attack the strike zone, challenge hitters, and he wasn't scared, which obviously is a good thing. So now I think he'll be back in the major leagues next week, 2 weeks from now. Latest is Christian Scott. This Met team, they're still trying to compete supposedly, and Scott was one of the better pitchers in my opinion, with just talent alone in that New York Mets starting rotation. So right now, he's available in 82% of fantasy leagues, and I believe he'll be back in the major league sooner than later. It's time for fantasy owners to watch him and possibly stash him this week. The next pitcher, Cade Pavic of the Baltimore Orioles. So Cade Pavic, he's been on the list a lot this season, and now it's a possibility he start today's ball game as Cade Pavic, where he's on the taxi squad. And Pavic, he's been talked about, like I said, a lot this season by me and other people in fantasy baseball about coming up and making an impact. So right now, he didn't crack the top 100 in prospects in Major League Baseball. Number 9 prospect in the Baltimore Orioles system. He's 95% available as well in fantasy leagues. And on the season in AAA with the Norfolk Tigers, 5-1 record, 11 games, 3.18 ERA of 56 and 2/3, 21 walks, 75 strikeouts, and a 1.11 whip. So Pavic's done it all pretty much at the AAA level. We know they're dealing with injuries. John Means, unfortunately, out for the season once again for this Baltimore Oriole team. Also, Dean Kremer on the injured list. And now I think it's time to call up Cade Pavic. We've seen other prospects already come up and down for this Baltimore Oriole team this season. Jackson Holliday, he was up for a little bit. Heston Kjerstad, and now Connor Norby's been called up as well. But anyway, I think he could go out there. Cade Pavic and help fantasy owners. And he's a lefty as well, which is always a good thing to have for your team. Many good lefties left in the major leagues pitching the baseball. So right now, he's definitely a prospect to keep an eye on, because he's most likely going to start today's game from the reports, is Cade Pavic. And if he does great, he's going to be owned in a lot of fantasy leagues going into next week. Next prospect's Hurston Waldrep of the Atlanta Braves. So this Brave team, they've had some trouble with the back end of the rotation. Spencer Schwalbach, he's in the rotation right now for this Brave team. But Hurston Waldrep, one of the top prospects in the Brave system and in Major League Baseball, 72 prospect, and in the Brave system, the number 2 prospects on the season for Waldrep. 3-5 record, 3.09 ERA, 55 and a third, 18 walks, 59 Ks, a 1.36 whip. So Waldrep, he's going to be up sooner than later, I believe. He just got called up to AAA last week for this Brave team. And this Brave team, they've had struggles at the back end of the rotation. Spencer Schwalbach, he's one of the top prospects as well, number 3 in the system, where Waldrep's number 2 just called up to AAA. Like I mentioned, Charlie Morton, he's been up and down so far this season. It wouldn't be surprising to me if he's out of the rotation for this Brave team. And Waldrep going up the Brave system pretty quickly over the last couple seasons. Only 22 years old, so right now, definitely a prospect to keep an eye on. Available 97% of fantasy leagues. He's got good fastball, and like I said, he's moving up the charts quickly all around Major League Baseball's Waldrep. So someone to definitely keep an eye on, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if he's in the major leagues within a month or two. Worst case is Waldrep. The next prospect, Noah Schultz, the Chicago White Sox. So this White Sox team, we know they're going to trade a lot of players off towards the MLB trade line. Even Garrett Crotchet, who's been pretty decent for them this year. Schultz, one of the top pitching prospects we've heard about over the last couple of years, coming up through this White system, available 98% of fantasy leagues. And he's the number 39 prospect in all Major League Baseball, is Noah Schultz. Still only 20 years old, but like I said, this kid's got good stuff. And he's prime and ready, I believe, to be in the majors sooner than later. We see guys like Chris Flexen getting ran out there, Nick Mastriani for this Chicago White Sox team. Guys that really aren't rotation pieces in baseball anymore. More bullpen arms in my opinion. So Schultz on the year, 1-1 record, 3.09 ERA, 35 innings, 54 Ks, and 0.77 WHIP in 9 games started. So Noah Schultz, I think he's going to be in the majors in a couple months at worst case. Like I said, they're going to fire sale some players off. Is the Chicago White Sox team. They're obviously going nowhere and they're looking to build. And why not give some pitchers a chance, especially Schultz, who was a first-round pick in 2022 for this White Sox team, and he's moving up quickly in the White Sox system, and he's got a great K rate as well. The only thing with him, he's got to stretch out a little bit, is Noah Schultz, go deeper into ball games. But besides that, he could be a blue chipper prospect and help fantasy owners in a big way in the future, I believe, is Noah Schultz, and possibly this season as well. In the fifth and final prospect, I look to watch and stash Carson Whisenhunt of the San Francisco Giants. So this Giant team, they're dealing with a lot of injuries now in this rotation. Obviously, Blake Snell, he just went on the injured list. He hasn't performed all season. And I know Whisenhunt, his numbers aren't great in AAA, but his career minor league stats have been good. It's on the season for Whisenhunt, 1-3 record, 5.96 ERA, 12 games started, 45 in a third, 65 Ks, 1.59 WHIP. So Whisenhunt, the problem is the ERA. Strikeout rate very well, though, 65 Ks and 45 in a third. But I believe this Giant team, if they want to make a boost up into the standings and make a shot at this wild card, they're going to have to call them up, I believe. With these injuries in the rotation, Blake Snell, Alex Cobb's been injured the whole season for this Giant team, and they've been piecing together some bullpen games, and even Black they've called up for a few games and started, and that didn't really end well. So right now, Carson Whisenhunt, it wouldn't be surprising to me that he'll be in the major league sooner than later. Available 99% of fantasy leagues, and he's number 66 prospect in all Major League Baseball. So that's a few prospects I look to watch and stash for Week 10 of the fantasy baseball season.